All we need is one of you. Rejoice. You have been chosen to join the many. Ash was directed by Flying Lotus, who's been involved in projects like Kuso as well as VHS 99. He even composed the music, but he wasn't just behind the camera. Oh, no. He decided to step in front of the camera to play a character named Davis. Not very original, parents. Ow. If you get that deep cut MST3K reference, I love you guys. If you know the episode, please let me know in the comments. So, this takes place on a distant planet where Riya, played by the incredibly talented and goddess-like Isa Gonzalez, who was in Ambulance, and my god, what an astonishing fucking beauty she is. She is so fucking attractive, so captivating. Really, no, just absolutely adore her. But she awakens on a distant planet and really has no memory of who she is besides, finding out a few little tidbits of information. But she's all confused. She's all wondering what's going on and why are there dead bodies around? What the hell is going on? Oh, this must be my crew. I must be an astronaut of some description. And she must end up solving this mystery before any other, aspects of this particular tale are history. Ash Tales, woohoo. So this got quite the marketing campaign in the sense that if you dive into movies like I have and you have seen a lot of horror movies, you may have actually seen this trailer a few times. There's been quite a bit of advertising on social media if you know where to look. It's from Shudder and few studios like XYZ and RLJE Films, I believe is how it's pronounced. And this is very sci-fi-ish and horror and psychological horror and stuff like that. And without giving too much away, I do want to say that while it is trimmed down and is kind of bare bones, honestly, with the presentation as far as story, what really helps is the fact that it really does kick into gear in the third act and actually has some nice build. It has some nice pacing to it. Maybe it's a little bit too slow burn for some people, but I found enough of this interesting to the point that this was a special screen that I ended up seeing. There were two theaters to the north and south of me that were playing this. It was either South Seattle that I would drive to in Monday night traffic, which would not be good, or I could drive almost 60 miles north to a town called Bellingham and watch it there. I chose Bellingham. That's how far I was willing to drive to see this, and you know what? I'm really goddamn happy I did, because I'm not going to call this the absolute most blow-away horror movie that I've ever seen, but it got under my skin. It was unsettling. It worked. This is the type of shit that you should go into the theater to see, because this is the type of stuff that I want to see get more, theatrical releases. Lower budget horror movies with heart and ingenuity and energy and some creativity, even with well-worn story elements like this. You do get flashbacks of how this crew interacted and stuff like that and how certain events unfolded, even though it's probably pretty obvious how it unfolded, but it really does go a little bit bonkers with the violence as things go on, especially in that third act. And that third act is absolutely worth it. And this is something you guys need to check out. It is a goddamn fun movie. Really, really entertaining. Unsettling to a degree. It didn't really scare me, but it was unsettling, just the creep factor of it, even if, again, there are well-worn story elements about it. But, again, Miss Gonzalez, with respect, my God, just let me talk to you. No, she's really, really fucking great as the lead here. Aaron Paul does play a character named Brian, and you do also have Iko Uwais, who was in Snake Eyes, but was most famously in the Raid 1 and 2, who is a really, really uber-talented martial artist. I mean, good grief. You have Kate Elliott as Clark. There's a few implications about the relationships and the, camaraderie between these characters. And what I like is that obviously it had a modest budget, but it used it well. And there are a few questions about, what the hell is going on, but it answers enough of them and really does just, absolutely smash it as a sci-fi horror. And actually it's more horror sci-fi, but it just really fucking works. I love the body horror elements, the gore effects, and even the special effects on the budget were used pretty well. Good stuff. I encourage you guys to check it out in theaters when it hits, hopefully mostly nationwide, this Friday. That being said, I'm going to get into spoilers. Just so you know, so that you're warned. Really, really good, and Miss Gonzalez with respect. So, spoilers, there we go. My God, but Miss Gonzalez, oh, she's so fucking gorgeous. Good grief. Good grief. Anyway, so she awakens, and she's all confused about what's going on here, and she, has headaches, and what the hell's going on here. She doesn't understand what the hell's happening, like all this, crazy shit. I mean, all these people are dead. She wonders how the hell this happened, and she has she has like headaches, so she puts these like medical, it's almost like nicotine patch like stuff on there, and it's like pain meds and stuff like that, and takes care of what's going on. She's able to piece this together eventually when another crew member named Brian shows back up, and this is after she keeps hearing this overhead of this space station she's at, or well, it's a ground station of this planet. It's KOI-442. So it's a koi pond, basically. I would have just loved a giant koi fish. We don't get that. We get some slimy creatures. But anyway, she wonders why the hell, Brian, what the hell? How did you get here? What's going on? Oh, he's trying to explain stuff to her, what's actually happening. And it is revealed that there is a character, Clark, that Riya may have been in a relationship with. Maybe not. Maybe they're just really good friends. There's like a few pieces of dialogue that indicate that it might have been a relationship, or it might have at least been some close-knit friendship. But that being said, that Clark went absolutely nuts, killed all the crew, and escaped. By the way, a little bit earlier, Riya goes outside and realizes that she can't really breathe all that well because she's on a goddamn planet that, yes, may have some form of terraforming, but still the air isn't all that great to breathe. And also, there's weird ash stuff going on in a movie called Ash. Well, you don't say. Weird spinning, smoky stuff like going on in the sky. Weird spiral stuff. That was kind of creative. I was actually thinking we were getting Event Horizon. I will take this over Event Horizon, by the way, because I consider this good. I haven't watched Event Horizon in a while, but I'll take a Flying Lotus project, which really sounds more like a euphemism than I planned, but nevertheless. And I'll take that over a Paul W.S. Anderson project. I did like some of the stuff, like Brian brought out this medical bot that had like a Japanese voice and everything. It was like a Nintendo toy. It was like that disc, or that bot toy that they used for the first Nintendo, or whatever the hell that was. I forget what they actually called it. You know what I'm talking about, as descriptive as that is. But that was kind of funny. They used that as a gag a few times. So basically we find out through various flashbacks and everything, because Ria's trying to piece this together. Every time these medical patches go away or lose their effectiveness, she's remembering more and more stuff. She's picturing herself killing the crew. So, okay, obviously she's the one that killed the crew. It wasn't Clark. She's just deflecting and that kind of stuff. It's a Pandorum-like situation. Pandorum is a movie that I remember liking a whole lot better when I first saw it. Upon rewatching, not all that great. Decent idea. But that being said, she's piecing this stuff together. She has this imagery of a droid, or like a drone almost, like flying over her and everything. And I have to say, Miss Gonzalez, and whatever that white outfit and whatever the gear was on her face, whatever that was, you did more of that. Yes, please. Again, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. She ends up seeing this droid thing fly over, and then realizes that was used on a mission when they were going around checking out this stuff. So they go, they're checking out, they find that there's this terraforming like thing, and this weird, it's some strange, it's a strange thing, something that they may have done, something that may have already been there. They seem kind of familiar with it. It's this weird mechanical stuff in the ground, and then they drop something. I wonder how far down it goes, and then they do it, and then the rocket, and then it glows green, and the rocket gets sent up into somebody's helmet. And then we see them get infected. So it's an alien spore-like thing. You pissed it off. Why'd you piss it off? Why'd you do that? Don't drop rocks in the alien holes. You learn that the hard way in a movie like this. But I did like the fact that they kept mentioning the neck patches. Didn't work all that well after a while, but her memories would come back. She's convinced she killed the crew. There's also this 12-hour window where they have to get to this lander to basically go up to the waiting station, essentially, that's above this planet. And the idea is her and Brian are going to do that, but, you know, Riya really wants to find Clark and does eventually find Clark. And Clark ain't doing all that well, shall we say. And all this crazy shit's happening, but then, you know, and there's a few things that, like, you know, are kind of skipped over as far as in this, because this is something you need to check out. But basically, during more flashbacks, she sees the fact that this is some kind of alien spore. It's an alien entity that ends up now taking over a good portion of their station. And the idea is, of course, like the brilliant people that we are, let's get a sample of this alien thing and let's, you know, pull it out and let's study it, because that's always worked out well for humanity, especially humanity in films like this. This kind of reminded me of Life, except I like these characters a lot more than the characters in Life. This at least had pace, and Life was just stupid. But that being said, the alien thing that they pull out quickly just goes absolutely insane. And starts infects the guy from the raid. And just, there's, you know, now and then all hell's breaking loose, all this stuff. She's going back and forth between flashbacks and stuff like that. She then realizes after attacking Clark, or Clark attacking her, she attaches a hose to her, like, you know, the shower hose to her deal, and then, you know, actually fills her suit with water, which is actually pretty goddamn creative. And then she also finds there was a part where there was a hole there a little bit earlier, in the hole losing oxygen, and Brian actually was found in the hallway smashed up, so Clark did it. More on that in a minute. The alien spore gets up through the guy's nose. She has to basically kill it. It's like a centipede, millipede. She's stabbing him, trying to kill him and stuff like that. Davis comes in. He ends up getting killed, basically, or infected, because that's what it does. It infects. It just infects you and kind of turns you into a rage-filled zombie, shall we say. But then, basically, Brian is, you know, like, gonna go save Clark, but then says, oh, fuck it, sees, you know, that one of the crew's infected him. Brian runs away and gets in the goddamn deal. And bleh, you know, just does that. Just gets his head bashed in. That's how he ended up dead in the goddamn hallway. So all the crew's been dead, and, you know, for a while, and Riya finds this out, inspecting the bodies and everything, finds out that Brian's been dead for 51 hours. Brian had mentioned about the lander, all this stuff, and, you know, all this crazy shit's going on. Crew's all, you know, fucked. Riya feels bad for killing him. And she, you know, she's got these patches, she got this stuff. And then we see a smash thing where she's talking to Davis. And the alien thing ends up getting into the cut that she had here. A cut that she had fixed a little bit earlier. And now that's the thing. It's in there. That's why the patches aren't working. The patches are to keep the alien, you know, psychic link that it has, because as you go in the brain, it has a weird eye and everything, and does the line that I open the review with, where it's like, oh, you think you can take our planet? No, you're not going to take our planet. You know what we're going to do? We've seen your species, so we are going to fuck you up. You want to come here? We're going to fuck you up, and that's essentially what they do. But it turns out the fire actually kills them, or at least wounds them. Which kind of makes sense given the fact that don't think there's a lot of fire on, you know, that this planet has to deal with. And mind you, you know, the thing with the 12-hour window still going, you know, it's really getting down to the titty gritty, as it were. Clark does show back up, but Clark gets killed, like I said, with the shower deal. That was very creative. And now she basically has this grand idea to, you know, this alien thing has gotten in her, and she wants to use this Japanese surgery bot to get it out of her. And it does get out of her, and she's able to do that, and she's able to freely think again. And then it crawls into Brian's body. Brian, who is all bashed to pieces and everything. And then goes just full dead space and just bursts out and everything and stuff like that. And has a tendril on his arm. This is where they use the great makeup effects. Boom, 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 boom. It's insane. She is finally able to basically torch him and kill him. And then she's able to get onto these, to the lander. Get to, the thing and go up. And basically go up to the station free. Except for the fact that the alien spore is there. Because somebody brought it back up. Somebody already brought it back up. Or maybe they're already aware because Brian had implied, granted that he was already dead. But this version of Brian, the alien using these images of the crew basically justifying, hey, they are already aware that the thing was terraformed. And me thinks they wanted to try to bring back more of a live specimen. Well, it's too bad the specimen's already taken over the goddamn space station, so now what the hell are you going to do? Fly the ship home? Apparently Earth is totally fucked, so Ria's just got to battle the thing. Maybe we're going to get Ash 2, Space Station Boogaloo. Maybe we're going to get that. I end up enjoying this movie, though. I again, like body horror effects. I liked, the pacing of it. I thought the third act was pretty goddamn good. I can understand some people not liking it. I do admit that it has a few familiarity issues and whatnot, but Miss Gonzalez, you got us. Goddamn, you got Jesus Christ. And I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with this. So I am going to give it an A+. I give it 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So there you go. Nevertheless, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ricklin, and I'll see you soon.